Hello everybody, it's Lazel here with another EDH deck tech. Today I'm talking about Slimefoot and Squee. It is a 3 mana 3/3 commander which says whenever Slimefoot and Squee enters the battlefield or attacks, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. It also has an activated ability for 4 mana and sacrifices Saproling, return Slimefoot and Squee and up to one other target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. We are enchant, we have a great reanimation tool in our command zone, this is going to be fun. We are going to win the game by putting Slimefoot and Squee into our graveyard, filling up our graveyard with powerful creatures and reanimating them, and I personally would also really enjoy winning with those Saproling tokens, so let's go over our win cons. For example, Corvold, Gleeful Glutton, an 8 mana 4/4 which says this spell costs 1 generic less to cast for each card type among permanents you have sacrificed this turn. It has Flying, Trample and Haste, and whenever Corvold deals combat damage to a player, put X +1/+1 counters on Corvold and draw X cards where X is the number of permanent types among cards in your graveyard. Ziatora, the Incinerator, a 6 mana 6/6 flying, and at the beginning of your end step you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Ziatora the Incinerator deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target and you create 3 treasure tokens. Bring Ziatora back and immediately sacrifice Slimefoot and Squee to bring back the next powerful creature in your next turn. Etali, Primal Conqueror, a 7 mana 7/7 trample, and when Etali, Primal Conqueror enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. And for 9 generic and a green Phyrexian you can transform Etali, but you can only activate it as a sorcery. You will get Etali Primal Sickness, a trample indestructible 11/11, and whenever Etali Primal Sickness deals combat damage to a player, they get that many poison counters. Villis, Broker of Blood, an 8 mana 8/8 flying, and for 1 black and pay to life, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. Corvold, Fey Cursed King, a 5 mana 4/4 flying, and whenever Corvold, Fey Cursed King enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent, most likely Slimefoot and Squee. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Corvold and draw a card. Combustible Gearhulk, a 6 mana 6/6 first strike, and when Combustible Gearhulk enters the battlefield, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If the player doesn't, you mill 3 cards. Then Combustible Gearhulk deals damage to that player equal to the total mana value of those cards. But as I've said earlier, we can also win with our Saproling tokens. For example, due to Tendershoot Dryad, a 5 mana 2/2 with Ascent, and at the beginning of each upkeep, so also every of your opponent's upkeeps, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. Saprolings you control get +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing. Another really cool card is Sprout Swarm in my opinion, a 2 mana instant with Convoke and Buyback for 3 generic. Put a 1/1 green Saproling creature token into play. Verdant Force, 8 mana 7/7, and at the beginning of each upkeep create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. Nemata, Primeval Warden, a 4 mana 3/4 reach, and if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. When you do, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. For 1 green and sacrifice a Saproling, Nemata, Primeval Warden gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And for 2 mana and sacrifice 2 Saprolings, draw a card. Nemata, Grove Guardian, a 6 mana 4/5, and for 3 mana you can create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. You can sacrifice a Saproling, so Saproling creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn. And of course, Mykolith, a 5 mana 4/4 with Devour 2, and at the beginning of your upkeep create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token for each +1/+1 counter on Mykolith. There are a lot more cards that have great synergy with Saproling tokens and also help us dominate the board. For example, Artifact Mutation, a 2 mana instant. Destroy target artifact, it can't be regenerated. Create X 1/1 green Saproling creature tokens, where X is that artifact's mana value. Golgari Germination, a 3 mana enchantment, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. This works very well due to the fact that we will be sacrificing Slimefoot and Squee over and over again. Druidic Satchel, a 3 mana artifact. For 2 mana and tap it, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. If it's a land card, put that card onto the battlefield under your control. Untapped, remember that. If it's a non-creature, non-land card, you gain 2 life. Necrogenesis Genesis, a 2-mana enchantment which is great graveyard hate in this deck. For 2 generic, exile target creature card from a graveyard, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. Utopia Mykon, a 1-mana 0/2, and at the beginning of your upkeep put a spore counter on Utopia Mykon. Remove 3 spore counters from Utopia Mykon, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. You can also sacrifice a Saproling to add 1 mana of any color. Fungal Sprouting, a 4-mana sorcery, put X 1/1 green Saproling creature tokens onto the battlefield where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. But we can use way more outlets to sacrifice Slimefoot and Squee to use its ability from our graveyard. For example, with Corrupted Conviction, a 1-mana instant, as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature to draw 2 cards. Nasty End, 2-mana instant, as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. If the sacrificed creature was legendary, draw 3 cards instead. Village Rites, as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature or draw 2 cards. Ashnod's Altar, a 3-mana artifact which says sacrifice a creature, add 2 generic to your mana pool. Deadly Dispute, 2-mana instant, as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. And of course, Phyrexian Altar, a 3-mana artifact, sacrifice a creature, add 1 mana of any color. Let's fill up our graveyard with those creatures that we want to reanimate. For example, with Entomb, a 1-mana instant, search your library for a card, put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Buried Alive, a 3-mana sorcery, search your library for up to 3 creature cards, put them into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Old Stick Fingers, for 2 mana and X. When you cast a spell, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards. Put all creature cards revealed this way into your graveyard, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Old Stick Fingers, power and toughness are each equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Vile Entomber, a 4-mana 2/2 Death Touch. When Vile Entomber enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle. Grisly Salvage, a 2-mana instant, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or land card from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. And Gerard's Orders, a 4-mana sorcery, search your library for up to 2 creature cards and reveal them. Put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. You want to win more? You get it. Saw in Half, a 3-mana instant, destroy target creature. If that creature dies this way, its controller creates 2 tokens that are copies of that creature, except their base power is half that creature's power and that base toughness is half that creature's toughness, round up each time. Saproling Symbiosis, a 3-mana sorcery. You may play Saproling Symbiosis anytime you could play an instant if you pay 2 generic more to play it. Put a 1/1 green Saproling creature token into play for each creature you control. Finale of Devastation, a 2-mana and X. Search your library and or graveyard for a creature card with mana value X or less and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X and gain haste until end of turn. Birthing Pot, a 4-mana artifact and one of it is a green Phyrexian mana with an activated ability for 1 generic and 1 green Phyrexian and tap it, plus sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrificed creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. Altar of Dementia, a 2-mana artifact. Sacrifice a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard. And a really powerful card in every self-mill deck is Palantir of Orthanc, a 3-mana legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, put an influence counter on Palantir of Orthanc and scry 2. Then target opponent may have you draw a card. If that player doesn't, you mill X cards where X is the number of influence counters on Palantir of Orthanc, and that player loses life equal to the total mana value of those cards. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video about cards that I would play in Slimefoot and Squee. I think he is a really powerful reanimation commander. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about it, which cards you would play in this deck and which legendary creature I shall feature next. And then I would say, see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.